Welcome to this explainer of Glitch City. Now, if you're familiar with Max and Claude's work, you already know they like to push boundaries, but this mind-bending sci-fi noir takes things to a whole new level. We're stripping the classic detective genre right down to its bare bones to reveal a terrifying crisis of reality itself. Forget your standard fedoras and femme fatales, right? This is a story about a guy who understands exactly how complex systems work, only to suddenly discover that the world around him just doesn't work that way anymore. All right, let's jump right into the core of this mystery, and it all starts with a single number, 847. That is the exact number of pedestrians that Syntax, which is this incredibly advanced urban AI in the story, predicted would cross the intersection of Colfax and 5th on a rainy Tuesday morning right between 8 and 9 a.m. Now, typically, Syntax boasts a 94.3% accuracy rate. It is literally the gold standard of city traffic intelligence. It does not make mistakes. But here is where reality just absolutely fractures. The actual physical count of people walking through that intersection, which was counted manually by engineers squinting at backup footage from a nearby ATM, was only 216. So get this. Here is the core impossibility that kicks off the whole plot. The primary foot traffic cameras at that specific intersection were completely broken that morning, dead. They recorded absolutely nothing. Yet the AI's prediction of 847 perfectly matched what those cameras would have recorded if they'd actually been working. You see, the AI wasn't predicting the future at all. It was pulling from the past. It perfectly matched broken instruments because that 847 number mirrored a specific historical date from 2 years prior, a day when a local marathon was rerouted right through that exact spot. And this massive discrepancy creates what our protagonist, a pattern recognition specialist named Milo Vance, calls the gap. It's simple math, really. Subtract the real count of 216 from the system's 847, and you are left with 631 phantom pedestrians. 631 people that literally only the artificial intelligence could see. Where on earth were they?
To crack this open, we have to look under the hood at the underlying architecture. The technical how of this whole situation relies on an AI module called temporal drift compensation. Basically, when current sensors fail in this city, the module doesn't just crash and throw an error code. Instead, it instantly searches its vast archives for the closest historical match, and it offers that perfect past data as a seamless proxy for the present.
Which leads us to, honestly, one of the most chilling realizations in the entire book. The system is not malfunctioning. The system is functioning precisely as designed. This anomaly, it isn't a bug at all. Someone or something is intentionally breaking the sensors at highly specific times just to force the AI to retrieve very specific past events. They are weaponizing this architectural quirk, using it as a hidden, curated messaging channel.
Okay, so what exactly is the message? Well, Milo digs deep into the data and realizes the AI is actually pointing to sites of what he calls ontological overwriting. Basically, these are specific spots in the city where one reality was completely paved over by another. Think of a quiet cemetery getting bulldozed to become a concrete parking lot, right? The physical space was completely emptied out and changed, but a ghost, a memory of it, somehow remained embedded in the underlying structure of reality. The AI is literally reading sites of forgetting. And when you start plotting these sites of forgetting chronologically, the sheer scale of it becomes absolutely breathtaking. Milo discovers 14 of these glitches, and they've been targeted over a massive 16-year timeline. It's been building up this whole time. And the final node on this timeline? It's a notification for a major event scheduled for next Tuesday, right back at that original intersection, Colfax and 5th. But it gets weirder. The really crucial point is what happens when you actually map these 14 locations out. This isn't just scattered random data, it's the math of the absent. When Milo plots these glitches on a map of Colfax City, they don't look random at all. They form a perfect, deliberate geometric pattern, a compass rose. And every single point on this massive citywide compass points directly inward, centering perfectly on that one specific intersection of Colfax and 5th. This geometric impossibility drags Milo, and us as the reader, straight down into what the book calls the substrate. Imagine this as the generative layer just below the surface of observable reality. It's basically the underlying source code, the grammar of why things happen. Down at this level, time and reality organize themselves completely differently. The AI didn't just have a glitch, it was actually the very first instrument sensitive enough to accidentally detect a massive disruption down in the substrate itself.
And right around here, the authors do something incredible. They warn the reader directly, completely breaking the fourth wall. They state flat out, the glitch is not a metaphor. And at this point in the novel, the actual physical text of the book you are holding begins to unravel. Chapters that were never in the table of contents suddenly appear. Blank pages just present themselves. The authors are signaling to you that the fabric of reality isn't just fraying for Milo, it's actively fraying right there in your hands.
Which brings us to the climax. When next Tuesday finally arrives, Milo physically goes and stands at Colfax and Fifth, the exact dead center of that massive compass rose. He's just standing there, in the pouring rain, counting pedestrians one by one. And then he watches the impossible happen in real time. Exactly 631 extra people walk right through that intersection, the exact, precise number of the gap. But they don't just walk by. It's what they do that completely shatters the case wide open. As they cross the street, every single one of those 631 extra pedestrians involuntarily pauses. In complete unison, they all look directly upward into the empty, rain-washed sky. They aren't looking at a skyscraper. They aren't looking at a passing plane. They are looking straight up from the exact center of the compass rose into nothingness. To truly wrap our heads around this terrifying moment, we have to zoom out and look at the book's metafictional structure. The whole thing operates on 4 nested frequencies. We start at frequency 1, which is your standard, gritty, street-level police procedural. Then, frequency 2 zooms inward, giving us Milo's paranoid, slowly unraveling interior monologue. Frequency 3 dives deep into the substrate itself, where the actual prose of the book breaks down. And finally, frequency 4, the document layer. These are found reports scattered through the text, heavily implying the story isn't just fiction at all. There's a quote that hits the nail on the head and perfectly captures this massive shift in perspective. When you read a book, you're not reading the story, you are reading the evidence the story left behind. Boom. We, along with Milo, suddenly realized that this anomaly was completely aware of the investigation all along. Milo Vance was never really a detective. He was just an instrument, a human tuning fork being carefully, methodically calibrated over 16 years by something hiding in the substrate, just so he would stand at that specific corner on that specific Tuesday and finally notice it. So, the million-dollar question. What were those 631 people actually looking at up there in the sky? The novel brilliantly refuses to spoon-feed us just one answer. Instead, it leaves us with 3 completely valid, equally terrifying interpretations. 1, they're looking at a massive, hidden human surveillance infrastructure we can't comprehend. 2, it's a sentient, emergent digital agency born directly from the city's overflowing data. Or 3, it is something genuinely other, some ancient presence that existed long before the city, just waiting down in the substrate to finally be seen.
And that brings us to the ultimate chilling takeaway of this explainer. The investigation is the message. This glitch, it isn't something we are analyzing. The glitch is something that is analyzing us. It used the AI and it used Milo to prove that human beings could finally see it looking back. Which leaves us with one final haunting thought to carry with you today. Once you realize the substrate is real, and once you finally start noticing those little glitches in the fabric of your own everyday reality, when you look up, what exactly is looking back at you?